Hello, YouTube. So, we were listening to music. Oop. Um, but we have prepared something that is about knowledge this time. It's not of too much magical idea, it's rather just a logical argument. And it's concerning the topic of, is there a chain of arguments yeah. Is there a chain of arguments that is of anything that would not at any logical count to can they bewail in type a chain of premises, but not of causation. So knowledge is difficult to describe, correct? Because knowledge in basic, knowledge basically always is not so easy to define exactly what it is. Okay? That's not so easy to define. So all to that is of counter-severating, meaning to all and all obscure but absolving by abyss in non-conventional vary in occurrence as truth, meaning that anything that arguments are derivated by for all ideas to premise as truth, meaning that of course not truth, logic, by negating fourth developed, shall by inspire calls or silence a no is at. So a no is at. That basically formulates the question. So a no is at would difficult. Meaning fourth developed shall by inspire calls or silence a no is at with previous assumption is of course negating fourth developed by or not. But meaning truth by negating fourth developed this sentence, no then not, means if any value of any premise at foundation has a truth but the premise doesn't need to, is then always an argument derived at point when premises start to be of or truth. A no without a foundation to never in cause of B, meaning A without a foundation to never in cause of B. If A is a no, then any cause of argument or chain of thoughts to absolving B is then not but can be or not at no then not foundation. So if a no is all at inspire this saccaded by order shuffled the while to true. That's basically the question that we want to discuss. So first argument, first question here, this ideas here. Yeah. Difficult. So undo button should be doop 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 doop. Undo. No. So if truth, add a no. This question basically, meaning A not being necessary premise for arguments from ventured, or better said, cast by. Then, meaning, as long as A under this difficult meaning, sorry, as long as true that for while worth this, no, by the any chain of further appearing ideas in knowledge that are not of same but can interact with premises or chain of what are still arriving by truth as any means of ventilating, but not whiting, meaning wiring, or better said, wire as wiring, at any true. So if a no is or at inspire, this is saccaded by order shuffled the while to true. Meaning if we now want to form a chain of any further ideas, will this always lead up to absence of no formulated or a chain derivating? Question then. When the or its at guide to knowing that a thought is quite too fundamental, but a never cast course, meaning as long as the when the or meaning as long as long as when the or it's at, meaning that the fundamental which is to ought never so any this quiet, meaning or better said every and disbelief, then levels in no inner parting, meaning too saccaded, in nothing or revert by brave such a now to no further so with, or revert by brave as interpreted as such that it can then be most likely assumpted to add further evaluating them. May, meaning, sorry for the wrong wording, the spelled as with of they a meaning that at further assumption, the thought process most likely is of any order to be still in comprehension, then also to true. And no further so with, meaning or revert by brave, such as now to no further so with a point n1, meaning minus a n infinity, or point b or b. This is just a logical phrasing. This as logical interpreted as n1 by math, and point b as logically interpreted as following or observating at meaning operator. In odd at b for interest, arts no at shall by minus a to premise. Meaning, if of such case that b will result if, meaning at best interpreted, gives answer to no, add shall by minus a to premise, minus a is. Same argument, no, that wrong. Minus a is defined as same argument in without premise fallacising its by constitutes constant for deducted since b. Meaning this sentence here is basically now the assumption for the rest of the argument. In odd at b for interest, arts a no, at shall by minus a to premise. This the conclusion, this the hypothesis. Not, but everything till the that not. This. But nonetheless, meaning that the core argument, the hypothesis, can be also then difficult. At shall by minus a, meaning that the reasoning at best. Now minus a defined as such, same argument in without premise fallacising its by constitutes constant for deducted since b. Now explanation shortly given for these ideas of neologisms. They are not really neologisms, correct? I tend to sometimes have problems with describing all the words in a video like this, to utilize only language that is of some in word. Wise. Fallacising, meaning that these neologisms exactly are by that not chosen, but by simple choice to, as shortly as possible, explain what I need to bring. Meaning this neologisms, these words, I try to use them to make obvious in a simple idea what, and fallacising then meaning that somehow, but not really. No, funny. So fallacising meaning that anything is ordered to truth at best, spoken wrongly, meaning true not, but truth arrived at by all wrong assumptions except maybe on how to understand when this truth would be. So for this argument here, that is this, of course, logic. So cos A in some something can be. Meaning A is not of B, same at B. Which would mean cos A, the premise, as regarding as A in some something can be. But minus A is not of B, same at B. Or meaning, as long as we arrive at conclusion, minus A is not of B, as long as same at as have arrived at chain to conclusion or conclusion till B. Because or B by fourth developed silence fundamental saccaded. Meaning, if we look at this fundamental here, but it never cast a cause, then all that is the silence at no, but not a no, not necessarily, or B will result in something that is saccaded but doesn't constitute this idea here. Meaning, hence or B is not of any adds to why this, meaning same at B, is true and can never be true, and minus A is ought not to be in same argument or B, hence that is not fallacising but a logical disassumption that will never arrive at this logical conclusion as long as the fundamental neologism, for example, also meaning saccaded by this idea here, at least, meaning all categories, which of course is difficult to explain, then the idea of quiet to fundamental is only a nothing as long as this doesn't work. Why is that? Because when the or it's at, as phrased as such explained, or a basic argument, at best spoken wrongly, then any idea for this here, minus A to premise, will also never result in these ideas. Hence, minus A to premise is an or B, but not a minus A dot n infinity. Hence, that is a chain, at best interpreted because a constituting constant cannot by difficult fourth developed to any of true be saccaded, meaning by order shuffled. Thus, minus A to premise, as defined, minus A to premise cannot be a minus A dot n infinity as long as resulting at. Thus, it must be an or B, at best, spoken wrongly, at best. Now, or by fourth developed silence, fundamental saccaded, meaning an or B as long as any fourth developed silence is in counter severing venture while to any sort. A silence or while still by order truth, meaning fourth developed somehow but also spoken wrongly, cannot be silence a no is at not the question. Therefore, or be by fourth developed silence fundamental saccaded as a nothing that such in ought categorizes the thought in occurrence in escape by no inner parting, meaning to saccaded, then only if a no, a nothing. Hence, minus a if or b as long as minus a to premise, but minus a inserted as an also point b and not counting as necessary argument for this, but this only a chain, results in as long as a point n1 will inevitably, for as long as these arguments hold true, a now, meaning any moment that is deriving arguments further, to then, while using a chain of arguments or this, not further give new truth at fundament, then the operator point B, as interpreted as minus b, minus a to, but not to premise, meaning minus a, would be not a negated operator, meaning it could not be used as negation, as put in simple logic. Hence, any negation in any chain of arguments and causation utilizes at least always some idea of true value or truth value, and a minus a, or true difficult, and minus a as in negation still a point B operator that doesn't influence the value of that idea. No, they're not. Meaning it's not still negation. Would then inevitably lead up to other true values be negated by that. Meaning as long as that suddenly would not influence the negation of logic, it would also influence then that other operators will not have this effect at best. Thus, or B can only be then minus a to premise, or better said, premise as argument. Thus, minus a to premise can only be or B, but not a point and 1, this, or B. Thus, that would make sense if that true like this, then a B by reverted or true or at truth, that or B is in or difficult, thus then fourth developed by, meaning true or at truth, to give deductive value, at best spoken wrongly, that minus A is not of B, same at B, or B by fourth developed to anything that will further only arrive at almost the same argument if same value to true or at truth, or true dot. Meaning since minus A is not true 2, this minus A, this means minus A at fundament fourth is a true B. It's a reordering all or at least some. Thus, as long as revert by is not a fourth developed, but can be. In case that reordering that is then or not a silence fundamental, anything by this argument here is not cicaded. Thus then, since minus A true or at truth, for that cause might in ever may. Point. Point. Fourth. Thus, this minus A at fundament fourth is a true B, it a reordering all or at least some. In cicaded A is any true 2 or, which would mean, in basic words, as long as A in something, meaning true in any further argument, can also cause the deductive minus A is not of B, same at B, meaning not of B, or B by anything that in cicaded to true or at truth will, for since minus A is not a true dot 2, meaning any idea to alternative truth, minus A at fundament will by adding anything to hypotheses always logically result, usually, in idea to alternative truth. But if minus A is by minus A to by minus A to premise and or B, then it would not be alternative true or malevolent by in value to true, or temperized, meaning tempered in sinister truth, a true B. It a reordering all or at least some in cicaded A is any true alternative, meaning if true alternative, meaning true 2, but minus A is not that always, as long as minus A at fundament will arrive at same conclusion. No, wrong. Minus A at fundament arriving still at true meaning minus A at fundament, arriving at B, but minus A is not a true dot, meaning an alternative to true, then any true that will, with this premise, accordingly to this assumption, then without reordering, most likely, meaning already instigated A, any of what previously mentioned. Meaning, is the chain of knowledge still cancelling the minus A for A true? Would be the question remaining, but not. Thus, knowledge can also be a nothing. For example. Thank you for listening.